is Derek from Classic Game Room, and what a day today, because I'm bringing you something that's very near and dear to my heart. This is a hardware review of the Nintendo GameCube. Now, I know the GameCube had a bit of a bumpy history. It had the smallest market share of its generation. It's universally considered Nintendo's weakest home console, at least commercially, at least in terms of commercial success, because in terms of games, man, this is actually one of my favorite systems of all time. And but before we get into that, let's look at what this little beauty has to offer here. The GameCube, aptly named because it's all about games, and it's it's a cube. This is a very uniquely shaped and uniquely designed console. I also happen to think it's one of the prettiest, particularly this platinum silver version. The system launched with indigo, which is basically purple without saying purple. Kind of a huge mistake. A lot of people weren't happy that it launched in purple, so later Nintendo amended that error by releasing it in black and silver here in the States. Let's start with the top here. This is just, man, the top of the GameCube is slick. You've got your reset button, your power button, which has a very nice sort of satisfying click to it, and then you open this thing. It pops open, and this is where you put your tiny little GameCube discs, which I always loved. Leave it to Nintendo. How stubborn is that company? People said they should have gone away from cartridges for the 64. They stuck with cartridges, and they still refused, even during the GameCube era, to just go to a standard DVD. They went with these tiny discs, which were about the shape of the circle on the top of it. And of course, as with every Nintendo console dating back to the NES, you've got the Nintendo logo engraved into the top of the system. Every Nintendo system has this, including the Wii, and that's a tradition that you hope that they continue. Then when we get to the back of the GameCube, you've got what I think is one of its coolest features. The GameCube actually had a handle built in. I haven't done research on this, but I gotta tell you, I think it's the only console to ever have a handle built in. And it's actually a very important feature for the GameCube because more than any console last generation, this was the system for local multiplayer. The Xbox was great, it was the clear leader for online. But the GameCube just was such a great local multiplayer system. It had so many great party games, so many really good arcade sports games that were really conducive for multiplayer, and obviously it had 4 controller ports, unlike the PS2, which only had 2. So this was, at least to me and my friends, this was one of the supreme local multiplayer systems of its generation. So you needed a handle to carry this everywhere, carrying it to your friend's dorm across campus in my case, or down the hall on your pedal bike. This really came in handy. And look at this. I mean, come on, it's a handle on a console. Are you kidding me? I gotta tell you, there's just not much I don't like about the GameCube, at least in terms of hardware. This was the second most powerful hardware of its generation, and although it was the least successful in terms of sales and market share, it had what I consider to be the greatest controller. I mean, this thing just melts into your hand, the same way the GameCube melts into your heart. Personally, it had some of my favorite games of all time: Resident Evil 4, Metroid Prime, as well as, I could go on. The point is, this is what it's all about. This is a beautiful console, the beautifully designed and tragically underappreciated Nintendo GameCube.